Good morning, everyone, and happy Saturday. How's everybody doing?
Good morning.
Doing
We're doing
great, great.
Woohoo, great. Good morning.
All
Morning.
right, guys. Well, I may have some background noise. I'm broadcasting from Ellie's race. This is in Okemos, Michigan. It's a 5K race. It's a fundraiser. It's a big deal. There's hundreds, if not thousands of people here. And Emily, my wife, is running in this 5K race. So it's kind of a fun place to broadcast from. But let's jump right to it on our HealthPointe Walk and Talk. We're going to have a number of fun topics. I know we've got Bruce and Eileen that are, as we know, those that know Eileen and Bruce are very social. They travel a lot, and they're going to be covering a segment on how to do HealthPointe on the go. What a great topic, and how to stay social and make life happen and work very well with the HealthPointe program. We all know of Bruce and Eileen's amazing success. If time allows, I will likely cover a topic on a bit of a hack, a bit of a tip or trick on maintaining fat burning mode in the HealthPointe program. And it's implied in the HealthPointe manual, but it's not explicit. And I'm going to call it out and make it very explicit on what that kind of bullet point is. And as always, we've got a beautiful roundtable of people that are practitioners, facilitators, coaches. And so we're going to get started with somebody that I queued up just a minute ago. So we'll see how ready he is, but we always love to hear from him. Larry, if you're there, go ahead and we'll start off with yourself. Good morning, Larry. How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing good, Eric. Thank you so very much. Yeah. Hey, I was thinking about that because when we talk about fat burning, a lot of times in our, with some of the clients we work with and ourselves, a lot of times our activity, we are stuck in our regular routines of doing stuff. And that's what we're doing with HealthPointe. We're trying to develop some habits that that we can continue to do. And so one of the things is that I do my usual things. I swim, do my walking, and as Kathy Munoz really says, a lot of times to get my metabolism going, hey, many times I need to do a little bit more than what I normally do. That we have to do is sometimes we have to do a little bit more than what we have normally done. Like I found out as we get up to our 10,000 steps, and I think, Eric, you've mentioned this many times before, is that as we start losing weight, we have to maybe rev up our steps just a little bit more, because our body gets to a certain weight, and then it gets set at that point. And then we need, in order to get the same amount of things done, because we're working with less weight, now we have to increase our activity. Well, we don't have to increase our activity, but most of us that are on this walk and talk and our clients that we're working with, then they can do more activities. And so we increase the activities. So we go from 10,000 steps to 12 to 15,000 steps. That's one way of doing it. And that's been helpful. And many times, I've seen that sometimes when I got stuck, and we've talked about this many times on the Zoom, is that we get to a certain point and then we just think that that's it. But now we're able to be more active. And so we can include extra steps. So get to 12 to 15,000 steps, that's helpful. Another thing that I personally have been doing is, and my coach Dave talks about it all the time, is muscle multiplier. It's another thing that we include in there. And one other thing is that I have been looking at my food list, which we should do all the time. And most of us, now that we've been on the program for a long time, we kind of know what foods fit into those categories, what foods we can eat, what foods we can't eat. And I started adding more protein. And Dave and Carol had talked about this, is that sometimes to get more protein, then I'm eating half a protein bar or a part of a protein bar, or I'm just taking a bite of a protein bar or some kind of protein to keep my metabolism going. And so those are the things that, that I can think of right off the top of my head. I hope that those things are helpful to people. I know that they have been beneficial to me. I have been on lifetime maintenance for a little while. We have new clients coming on that's doing HealthPointe, so we're going to be doing it again with them. And it's always good, as Eric says, to renew this program and to do the program, because as you do the program, then you find out more facts and learn more about it so that you can help other people to improve on the areas that they're having difficulty. So, Eric, that's just some things right off the top of my head. I hope that's helpful to everybody, and I hope it's in the direction that we're headed in.
That is absolutely fantastic. I have a couple of quick questions on the protein bar. So for helping people, you're talking the Neutralite Organics protein bar. Is that what you're talking about?
That's right. And we've been using those since the company has changed over to the different bars. We still use the meal replacement bars as well.
Yeah.
Okay. But yes, I have been using the new organic protein bars recently with myself and clients.
They're fantastic. They a little. I mean, we're getting real practical and pragmatic here, but it's something that I often share with people. Is you talk about using like a half a bar or a portion of the bar, and a little tip or trick on that is break off the piece. Like if you're going to take a half a bar, break it in half while it's still in the wrapper, versus taking it out and trying to break it in half. The new bars are actually pretty easy to do that because of the texture of them. But I still find it's a little bit easier if you keep it all wrapped up, you break it in half, just kind of fold it in half, and then you tear open the package, and then your little piece is right there waiting for you just to grab and snack on. And it's such a phenomenal. We like the chocolate one, which is kind of like the equivalent of the Neutralite Organics protein powder, but it's made into a bar, and it's got a couple of little crunchy nuts or seeds in there. It's just a real nice texture, really delicious, really great protein profile, and just keeps your blood sugar nice and even, keeps the cravings away. Love it. That's really, really great. So thank you so much, Larry. I know you did fantastic for me queuing you up like 15 seconds before we hopped on here. So I love it. I love the boldness, the confidence, and also that you're kind of following your coach's lead on. I think it was last week that the Dassauers talked about how they were really being courageous with their coaching, with sending over their check-in sheet to the people that they're coaching, which is gutsy.
I know it. I'm gonna grow up and be like my coach, okay? But I'm not quite there yet.
Okay. Let me jump in.
All right, jump on in.
My throat's a little raspy this morning, so I apologize. But Larry's coach is also a bit lazy. And so I understand the fat burning concept that he's talking about. And so one of the things that I do, a little cheat, is I'll sometimes put 4 or 5 bottles of water into a backpack. And so I can kind of do the same amount of steps with a little more weight. And that also helps with the burn.
Wow, that's a great hack there. So there's something that Emily's been focusing on. Some of you are familiar with Dr. Pierre Attia, and he talks about rucking a lot, right? Which is basically like a weight vest that you wear or backpack. But I love what you're talking about, because that is super scalable, super duplicatable, David. You put some water in a backpack, and you need the hydration anyways. And now if you've lost 10 pounds, 20 pounds, you can add that real quickly with water bottles, basically. Oh, I think you're muted.
Yep, that is correct. That is correct. And so, I mean, I have a water bottle in my hand or back pocket, but yes, I use the water as that extra weight so that my heart rate goes up. My body has to work a little harder. I'm doing the same steps, it's around 10,000, but you get a little more burn because your body has to work a little harder because of that little extra weight.
Sure. Oh, that's great because like Larry was talking, by the way, guys, I'm at this 5K race. Look how fast some of these 5K people are running.
That's that's for 5K. Whoa.
That's for 5K. I mean, I don't think I could go 100 yards at that pace, much less 5K. That's crazy. These people are like gazelles.
Larry's a former football player, and so he's an athlete, so he could do that 10 to 15. I'm always looking for the easy way out. So a little bit of extra weight and 10,000 works better for me.
Yeah, that's great. That's so fantastic. Well, hey, lots of great tips and tricks already. And with that, Eileen, I see that you are back home. And as I mentioned in the intro, that, those of us that know Bruce and Eileen, we know of them as always, going vacationing here or cruises there or social thing here. And yet you're down, 70 pounds or something like that. You put a bunch of people onto the program. You combined, you guys are like 100 and something pounds down and
110
super healthy.
Something. Yeah,
110. And yet you have such a robust social and enjoyable life. So we're all ears on any tips or tricks on how the heck do you do it?
All right. Well, first of all, when I met Carol and she told me the program, I said, no, thank you. Not doing it. And, thank you, but no. And so then we went to Italy and did a tour. My knee was killing me. And when I got home, I called her up and said, sign me up. Just so you know, that I initially said, I'm not eating lettuce twice a day. And also my husband said, I'm not doing it because we were going out to Utah and we were going on vacation with our kids. I'm like, you don't need to do it. I'm doing it. And then after the first cycle, he said, call that coach and sign me up. So if your initial response is like, no, I'm not doing it, you can see the beauty in it. So I'll just share. I was asked to share what we eat and then how we deal with. We do vacations and we have friends and we play cards and games and blah blah blah. So we're busy. Mm-hmm. So for breakfast, what we typically do is I do cottage cheese and fruit a lot with super seeds, which is this seed mix here that I get on Amazon or at a health food store. I just do a teaspoon so it gives a little crunch. Yogurt and fruit. I do that brand cereal for half a fruit. This stuff sometimes, that stuff. I get that at the health food store. It tastes better than all brand. It's not as sweet. We do, of course, an egg and toast, or my husband Bruce does a protein shake, and the chocolate with strawberries is delicious. So there's that. That's kind of our breakfast. We always prep our salads. So we have a salad for one meal, and the other meal we do a cooked vegetable and a salad. And then we do basically proteins, and we don't make it, you said kind of keep it basic. It is basic, but Bruce cooks the protein mostly, and he does all kinds of spices, and he makes it really good. He does it on a griddle. He cooks our fish outside on the griddle so we don't have to smell it in the house. And so that's what we do. I cook the veggies and we both prep salad. And for snacks, we do like the chocolate milk I like. Bruce likes vanilla milk. We do hard-boiled eggs, cheese stick, half a cup of yogurt. And I have something I like to do with yogurt, and I put in coffee. This is from Sprouts. It's a health food store. It's decaf. I put a little sprinkle in with some fake sugar. I also have Starbucks, which is they're both strong flavors, so it gives it a good flavor. I recently bought this stuff, and I put a little, like a teaspoon, and that is almost no fat and carbs, almost nothing. So that gives it a little flavor if I do a little cocoa in it, or Bruce likes the chocolate protein powder in yogurt. I'm not a fan so much, so I do this other stuff called Cacao Bliss. It's really fine cocoa, just a tiny bit. Another hack I have is you're gonna maybe think it's gross. Bruce won't eat it, but these little seaweeds, they're crispy, And this one has less than 1 carb and 2 fats. So that's like a nice treat once in a while, salty. So you have to be able to do it. And the teriyaki has a little more carbs. So those are my like hacks. Now, yeah, we do prep. I'm home. So, and I'm sorry, I'm so hot. We just went for our walk. So whenever I can, I always package up all our yogurts and cottage cheese in these. And Bruce is always saying, you don't need to do all that work. Yeah, I want to grab and go. I do. So I do it. And then of course we do our eggs. So they're ready. And then we have food prepped. So it's all in there and washed. So, and that's chicken there. So we plan ahead. Now, like today, we're going to be gone. As soon as we're done, we're going to take a shower. We're gone for the day. Yesterday, we made salads to go, and we're having dinner with a whole bunch of people, but it's not at a restaurant. And I don't know what they're serving. So we packed a salad. We're going to leave it in the car. I'm going to have a can of tuna fish for an emergency. They have a pull top kind. And so for emergency food, I'm doing that. And yes, I could go off and eat whatever, but I'm not doing it. I'm taking care of myself. And I just did a week-long seminar and I didn't know what there would be for food. So I brought my own lunch and I kept it in a little cooler. And that was my emergency food. And sometimes I needed it because they had lasagna and they had stuff I didn't want to eat. Yep. So, and also our instructor brought his own food because he and his wife are vegan or something, and they didn't know what there would be for food. So they bring their own. So it's not unusual for people to take care of their needs. And I don't feel funny about it. I will feel a little funny today if we have to do that, but I'm sure there'll be a salad probably. So I don't think we'll need it. So what we do is we plan the next day. Like I said, yesterday we planned for today because we're going to be gone. And the same thing for Sunday. We're going to Busch Gardens and we're going to eat one meal out, and we packed our lunch to eat before we go in. Now cruises and all that. So we plan according to whether we're driving or flying. And cruises, someone said, well, how do you do a cruise? There's all that food. I'm like, precisely. It's great. We can pick what we want to eat. We order 2 fish meals. Don't order one. You get almost no food if you don't get the 2 cups of rice. And you can always tell them, I want 2 salads because one is useless. So we get 2. We pack our own salad dressing, which is, we do like some low calorie ones just to have. And we also do oil and vinegar, but we just make sure we have our needs met. And yeah, we have all these little containers these are Tupperware containers that you can get on Amazon or eBay. So we pack those. They're in my purse. I also have protein powder in my bag. So I can have that in my coffee. So if I'm hungry and everybody else is having something, I get a cup of coffee, even if it's decaf, and put my chocolate protein powder, and it makes me happy. So yeah. So what else about travel? Oh, I bring my scale. I'm bringing it on the airplane. If I stick to my plan, I want to know that I did a good job. If I did a little too much salt or something, I want to know. So I like that. It's not a burden to me. I want to know. So when we went away to a hotel recently, I brought my scale. It goes with me. I like it. We even brought our little weighing scale. I did not take that out at a restaurant. So don't worry about that. I'm not crazy girl. Not that crazy. Oh, you know what else I do for restaurants when we go out to eat? I bring a little baggie full of chopped salad vegetables because basically you're getting lettuce, 2 cucumbers, and 2 tomatoes when you tell them no cheese, no croutons, no candied fruit or candied nuts. And that's a lousy salad if all you're getting is that. So we sneak in veggies. We go out to eat, occasionally. So we sneak in our little veggies when the waitress is gone. We put it on the side and cover it with lettuce. And we have a salad that's decent.
Love that.
Yeah, and we always bring our protein bars when we travel. And whatever we like, that's our special things that we like, we bring. Anything else you can think of, Eric?
Wow. My mind is just kind of on fire with just a couple of these tips and tricks that I made note of. I love the the little containers and that you keep your protein powder with that and add it to coffee. I love, in fact, when I do my protein powder in the morning, I make kind of a mocha type of a shake where I put coffee. So I have my coffee usually earlier in the morning and then it's cooled down and I pour some coffee in that's now cold. In my case, I put some chia seeds in there, let those kind of plump up, and then I add some almond milk and the protein powder. But the point is that I love that coffee and Nutrilite protein powder mixture, and you get that great mocha taste, and of course the sustainability of 21 grams of protein. But carrying along those little travel things for your protein is really a great tip there.
Yeah, we always make sure we have food with us. We actually went on the boat last night at 4:30 to have dinner with some friends. Just for 2 hours, we went out and we brought our own food, a salad. We brought them some fruit so they could have some fruit for dessert, and we brought everything in packages. Like, we just make sure we take care of ourselves. And I've been doing it almost a year, and I think when I eat a grapefruit, I'm like, oh my goodness, how does this taste so good? So after being off junk, I think everything tastes great. I'm not bored. And if we are bored, we just do different spices. And we go to there's a spice store, and I'll show you our pantry. We have spices. Mm-hmm. So we just make it tasty, and we're happy.
That is awesome. That is so awesome. Well, I probably could have a million questions and comments and so forth, but I want to open it up to anyone else that has any comments or questions for Eileen. I thought this was an amazing segment, very useful for people, because this is one of the potentially trip ups that people have. Is in their mind, they think, well, I'm social or I travel or whatever, and how do I go about that? So anybody else have any comments, questions?
I think that was the first tripping point that Eileen was concerned with when she started the program was, will I be able to stay on this with the kind of schedule that we lead? But the bottom line is we always go back to that word mindset. And they had a proper mindset coming in. And preparation, they've always been very prepared. I wanted her to show, I'm glad she showed her pantry, this picture of her refrigerator. I was walking, so I couldn't see all the pictures she was showing. But I'm so glad that we'll have this on a video recording, because I think this is particularly helpful, not only for brand new people getting started and establishing habits, but also those of us that have been in lifetime maintenance to keep that weight at bay and to keep staying right on track. And when she talked about Bruce and the spices, you can make food exciting, but keep it clean. Exciting doesn't mean it has to be covered with sauces and goop and breadings and fried and all that kind of stuff. It can be very clean. And there's some little tubes of organic spices that are in your grocery store that are really nice, and they can really give your food a nice pop. Or if you're grilling fish, put a little pesto on it, or what have you. Those things all, I've learned a lot from them and what they were doing. And, the two words when I was listening to her come to my mind, and one of them is supervise, don't improvise. And when they supervise what they're doing, they know ahead of time. And so they don't improvise, for the most part. Obviously, nothing's 100%. But I think that was so great that they always think ahead, whether they're on the road traveling or they're on a cruise. And the other comment that she made, and it's so true, people come and they have special diets. I mean, it is not uncommon nowadays for people to be vegan, vegetarian, keto, that, they got all these food plans. So this is not something that people look with the nose screwed up at you. This is just our sign of our times. More and more people read about more and more stuff, and they want to clean their act up. And that's exactly what they did. The other thing too is, and this is something they did really, really well, we're digital now. And a lot of times we have a tendency to overlook the beauty of our user guide. stay in that. And in there is a beautiful pie chart. Make sure you're eating all the food that's in the pie chart. Eat the foods that are on your food plan. I'm sorry? Oh,
no, I don't. Yeah, no.
Okay. Okay, yeah, eat all the food that's on the food chart, but don't eat food that's not on the food chart and in the pie chart. So just stay really clean to that program, and that's exactly what they did and why they were so successful right at the get-go and continued on. I mean, other than a day here or there that was a little frustrating, I mean, they just kept moving ahead, and it's all because they just followed the program. And if they got stuck or something, they were accountable every day, so they always asked your coach questions. So congratulations to them and all of you that are following the program as it should be, HealthPointe 2.0. So supervise yourself, don't improvise the plan.
Love that. I love that. Yeah, just through and through. I mean, just woven through all the different things that you talked about, Eileen. I just kept thinking, it's preparation. You know, that's what was seemed to be the constant theme in what you were going through, was that you were thoughtful about it, right? You, what's the phrase? You know, everybody wants to win, but it's not the will to win; it's the will to prepare to win. And everything that you were doing was preparing and thinking ahead. I love that.
The other thing I did want to share too, like when we make salad, we never ever make one salad. We always do, like, that's lettuce right there, ready to go. And there's more lettuce. And then there's all these packages of cut onions and carrots, and we don't want to make a salad every time. So we try to keep prepping. And if we're making a salad, getting low on cut up carrots, we peel some more and do it if we have time. So we just try to, and then when Bruce cooks the meat, he doesn't cook for one meal. And so that is one thing. We don't feel like we have to have a new meal every day. We can just go in and grab some grilled chicken, or when he cooks the salmon or fish, we have it hot, but then we'll warm it up another meal. And I wanted to share a little gadget we got from Amazon. This little guy, it's really good for 1 cup of almond milk, 3 ice cubes, and protein powder. And so that makes it easy to have a little, snack of.
Is that one of those that you just press a button, it's battery powered, and it whips it up?
Yes, and you charge it up. So every few days you have to charge it up. And the thing you have to remember, don't open it from the bottom. I opened it from the bottom yesterday and went all over, even in my light socket off the counter. Hello, you have to open it from the top and drink it or put it in a cup. I was tired and I opened it from the bottom. Don't do it. So this is called a blend jet. And I got one from my mom to help her to drink a little more and have more snacks. And I love it. It just is, it stirs up the chocolate protein powder better than a shaker.
That's great.
I guess that's it. But yeah, I hope that's been helpful to somebody.
It's been incredibly helpful. Very helpful. And it's so funny about your blooper there with your jet thing, because I think one of these times we need to do a walk and talk, dedicate the entire walk and talk to HealthPointe bloopers. And because I know we've got some funny ones, whether it's, having your protein powder, go all over the counter, or, I mean, that would be a fun segment. We'll have to cue that up on a few future episodes. So thank you so much.
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you. She gave so much great information to help people to be on the go. And just thank you so much for sharing those things. It's greatly appreciated.
Thanks for asking.
And we are so proud of you and your husband and the success you've had and your persistence in staying in the program.
Thank you. We are so happy. I want to share one other real quick thing. The other day I was starving and I didn't bring enough snacks with me, and I had to go to the grocery store, and I had him just slice off a piece of turkey breast boar's head. And I actually just ate some boar's head turkey in the car. And I'm like an animal here, but I got to eat something. So even if you're stuck, you can still do a little protein snack if you can get to a grocery store.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, kind of, to that point and to Carol's point that a lot of places, well, she's talking about the restaurants being um, used to people asking or doing special diets. I was in a similar situation the other day. I headed out kind of in a hurry and I didn't have my normal green cooler with me with food in it. And so basically it came to a late lunchtime and I really didn't have any food. And I stopped at this convenience store, which can be kind of scary. But lo and behold, I mean, they had some good choices in there. They had some freshly made deviled eggs. It was great. They had these things, I forget the name of them. And maybe this wouldn't be everybody's choice, but it was a decent option for me. It was actually a jalapeno pepper with a good quality cream cheese inside and then wrapped in ham. They called it some sort of like hot pig in a blanket or something like that. I don't know what it was called. But, you know, in that same store, there was, bags of potato chips and Pringles and soda pop and all that other kind of stuff. But you go into the cooler section and, it just stabilized my blood sugar. It got me a good, relatively healthy choice. It was a rare moment where I was caught without my normal, kind of prepped food and lunch. But there's good choices out there that you can have. So whether it's like you're talking, Eileen, stopping in at a store and getting some boar's head meat, or even a convenience store with some deviled eggs and hot pig in a blanket, it's out there for us.
You can almost always find little apples and bananas there too. Not that you would make that your first choice at a truck stop, but they are there. So there are some healthy choices. And the other thing is that Nutrilite's come out with these Nutrilite organic bars and shakes, and they are so delicious. And the thing is that if you prepare in advance and cut them up, put them in little snack baggies, and get a little Playmate, a little cooler, and just have it with you in the car, because I have certainly been stuck like that too. And I'll tell you something, as long as I've been on the program, if I'm stuck with no food, I want to eat. I want to eat. I don't care HealthPointe or anything. And so you don't want to get in those positions, because that is when you'll make unhealthy choices. And so sometimes something as simple as the all-in-one bars, and the beautiful thing about them is that they're more functional now, but so they're not covered with a lot of chocolate and what have you, but they don't melt either. So no matter how warm it gets in the car, you can still eat one of those, and they're actually even tastier when they're warm, where the bars we used to have were all covered with either white yogurt or chocolate, and they were very, very messy. Well, these are very neat to eat, so you just can't mess up on them. So just, those kinds of things too. If you get stuck, that is an all-in-one bar. So that's a whole meal in one bar. Now, you don't want to do that often, but sometimes even just for snacks to carry you over till you can get to a safe place. Those really help to get that blood sugar back.
So true. I have a backpack that is almost always with me. It wasn't with me on that day that I was speaking about earlier, because I was actually heading to do some kiteboarding, and I just threw all the kiteboarding gear in the vehicle and headed to the beach, and I didn't grab that. But in my backpack, that has my laptop, just all the different things I need to be doing business from the road, which is often where I'm doing business. In there is a bag that has a half a dozen of those Nutrilite Organics protein bars in there. And you're right, Carol, the new Nutrilite Organics, even if it gets a little bit warm, they're not, a hot mess when you crack those things open. I mean, yeah, they can be a little bit goopy, but they don't have that. They don't have any kind of coating on it like a lot of bars do that would, melt immediately, right? They're just a pure, very pure bar. And so that's nice, because if it does get a little bit warm, you're not with like liquid goop all over your fingers like some bars could be. These don't have that, so it's very clean. So, well, great stuff. We're going to continue around the horn, and I say that not knowing if anybody wants to speak, but if anybody wants to kind of unmute and chime in. We love the tapestry of a variety of thoughts and opinions and inputs and so forth. Anybody want to queue up here?
Good morning. I'll jump in.
Good
It is
morning,
the infamous
Kathy.
Step Queen checking
Yay.
in. Boy, Eileen, that was amazing. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So proud of all your accomplishments. And obviously, by you taking the time to share with us what you've been doing, it's no surprise that you've lost 70 pounds. I mean, you are true poster child of HealthPointe, I think, for sure. So thanks for sharing all those new things. I do have some new people coming on board, and I know this will be very helpful to them and even myself as well. As prepared as I try to be, I know I can always be better. So thanks for those tips. An update. Today is 2 years, 116 days consecutively of 10,000 or more steps a day. So I did do it last week at the family reunion.
Right on.
It was a little challenging. We had a cornhole tournament, but luckily I was first round, got eliminated first round, and was like, cool, I can get some steps in now. So grabbed my one cousin, got her to do a few with me. And then she's like, oh, I got to sit down. And I'm like, okay, well, I got a couple thousand to do, so I'll see you later. So I just kind of kept walking back and forth my aunt's property. But anyway, got them done as I said I would, because it is who I am now. So, and you'll see after a while when you really get down a serious habit that it really does truly become who you are. And it's just automatic. So, and yes, Larry, I agree with you about, having to try to strive to do just a little bit more, because sometimes I'll be like, oh, wow, I did 13,000 today. And it's just like, oh, geez, okay, didn't think I could ever do that, and it's just where you're like trying to make sure you get the 10,000 and then you end up busier in the day and you get more in. So it's just kind of like bonus. So, but don't really have anything else other than that, other than, again, if there's anybody new on, if you're wondering how the heck do I do 10,000 steps a day for over 2 years consecutively, it is a mindset. It is, yes, I'm going to do this. It is being cognizant of every time you get up, what you got to do to get some steps in. Because remember, we're not talking, 5K race type steps here. We're talking just a nice moderate walk. Okay. So the moderate walk from the fridge to the counter to prepare dinner. Maybe you need 5 different things from the fridge. Take one at a time back and forth to the counter. If you're going to get the steps then, you don't have to worry about hammering them out later. So even when I fill my vitamins, I take each bottle to the table individually, and then I'll put the one vitamin in for all my 7 days, and I'll carry the bottle back to the counter. So, because on the weekends, it's hard to get my steps in. So I got to do what I got to do. So, but you learn the tricks of the trade, so to speak. So those are some of my quick ones. Also folding clothes while you're walking helps too. So I guess that's about it for me.
Oh, that's great. We're covering the movement part and, getting creative again, talking about the mindset. You hit on that repeatedly because it is key. And that's what we heard from Eileen too. When we say mindset, it's, one of the portions of the mindset is having that preparation, thinking, how am I going to make this happen? Eileen is thinking, okay, how am I going to make this happen with this social agenda? Hey, I'm going on a cruise. I'm going to a week-long event, seminar. I'm going to be hanging out with friends. How do I do that? It's the mindset of preparation. Kathy, you're getting 10,000 steps in for over 2 years. That doesn't happen by accident. I know that's a cliche statement, but it's true. You have to have that mindset of preparation and how am I going to do that? So, and speaking of steps, go ahead, Carol.
I just wanted to say that on behalf of Bruce and Eileen, since you were just talking about them, with all their travel, and they're going to be leaving again, and then they're going to be coming back, and then they're going on an Alaskan cruise, they are still every single day journaling, sending in, and communicating. And that's what helps them keep that healthy mindset, is staying focused. And, you know, gentlemen, this is a football. Every morning they get up and they look at their football, and that's their journal pages, and they check in. And that's really, really key in habit forming and continuing to stay focused. So thank you, Eric.
Yeah, yes. Great reminder point on that, that we often talk about the number one element in the HealthPointe program is the accountability element, because everything else can come along if you are leading with the accountability. So no surprise that that is something that Bruce and Eileen have stayed so consistent on, is the accountability, and everything else has kind of come alongside that. So, and I just wanted to, I guess I'll come into a bit of a segment of my own that I queued up at the beginning here, but kind of segueing on what Kathy was talking about in terms of getting her steps in. And I'm here at this 5K race, you know, this, I'm in Okemos, Michigan, Ellie's Place 5K race fundraiser. And what I'm doing here is pacing back and forth. And normally I'm doing this in the house. So I would say the majority of my steps are, if I'm home, is in the morning doing various things on my phone, various communications. I don't have to do that. You know, why would I do that sitting down, right? That's not even fun. But the fact is, you know, by pacing back and forth, I talk about the hallway outside my office is like 8 steps. And I found myself, as I'm on this little grassy segment here off the pavement, I don't know if it's just muscle memory, but I think I'm taking 8 steps and turning around just like I do at home. So I think it's just a habit and muscle memory. But what I wanted to kind of touch on here is, and I don't think that this is in contrast to anything that we've covered so far, but if it is, that's fine. You know, we're a large group of people. Everybody kind of comes at things with their own personalities and styles. But what I wanted to touch on is that the kind of a tip or trick or a hack to staying consistently in a fat burning mode. And it's implied in the HealthPointe program. It's kind of covered in some of the manual material, but it's not said, so it's not communicated so explicitly. And here's how I want to characterize it. The hack that really helps with HealthPointe program, I see this with myself and I see this with people that I'm coaching, is keep food, call it simple or call it even boring. Now, what do I mean? And again, you know, if I was to ask Eileen, and maybe she would have a different answer on this, but you know, there's some beautiful variability, seemingly variability in her choices and what she has going there. But I wonder, and I bet, in fact, she even implied this, like when they do some grilling, they do batches of it and cook it up. I bet 80% of what they eat day in and day out, certainly 80 or 90% of what I eat day in and day out, is very repetitive. There's a short list of proteins. There's a consistency of what I have almost every day for lunch. In fact, one of the things that kind of triggered this into my mind as far as a talk topic is Eileen's post on our Facebook group, where she was asking for other people to share what they eat share some pictures of food and so forth. And I shared the picture of what I call my ugly bowl salad. And it's got another picture in there with the different prep items that, like Eileen showed, you know, you prep for the week, you kind of have this stuff on hand. And what I find is that if people are trying to be either self-described or in other ways, a quote unquote foodie, I find that they can struggle with the HealthPointe program. Here's what I believe. I believe that when you're working to get healthy, when you're specifically in a 6-week cycle, you need to be accepting of the fact that you need to move into decoupling pleasure, the association of pleasure with food. You need to decouple that. And so many of us, it can be a cultural thing, just a life norm. We associate pleasure with food. And when you're getting overly complicated in your food choices, thinking about all these different ways that you can fix a dinner or fix a lunch, nothing wrong with that, in part. There's certainly, fun and plenty of opportunity for creativity, but you're obsessing about food. You're thinking about food. That alone can drive cravings. That alone can drive indulgences. Food should be, particularly if you're in a 6-week cycle, simple. Now, what am I talking about? And again, Eileen, I think, talked about this a bit with some of their prep. If I think of what we eat consistently, I can tell you from a protein standpoint, it's eggs. I hunt, so I have venison. So if either I or Emily cooks up some venison for dinner one night, we'll cook up a good amount of it, and then that will go into containers, and that will be another source of protein that's in there. So venison, eggs, chicken, like chicken breast. That's pretty much it. Now, another one that maybe everybody will turn up their nose to, but I was surprised that I actually really enjoy these, is sardines. I get the Wild Planet sardines from Amazon. It's just packed in water. I did it as an experiment. I thought, surely I'm going to hate this stuff, but I actually love it, and I love the convenience of it. And so, say sardines, venison, eggs, and chicken is the protein. Then it's very simple, pretty repetitive with the greens. I've got arugula, spinach, all of which we just buy once a week at the grocery store. We also have a local farmer that we get our eggs from, and they've got some greens that we get from there. We'll get some simple pickled beets, some carrots. Again, we're not in weight loss mode. We're in lifetime maintenance mode. So we'll have more fats in ours, healthy fats like avocados and sprouted pumpkin seeds. But really, I think if you wrap your head around having your food be very repetitive, very boring, you're not obsessing over the creativity of your meals, that's when you find that you're really dialed in on dropping your blood sugar into a healthy zone, sub 100, not having these peaks and troughs of blood sugar. Your cravings virtually go away because a hyperglycemic followed by hypoglycemic, a rise and a drop in your blood sugar is what can trigger cravings. Obsessing about recipes and foods can drive cravings. You want to simplify that. So that's kind of the message that I wanted to cover. And the other thing that kind of triggered this with me is I can't tell you how many times, and some of the other coaches in here might, when I say this, say, yeah, I hear that too, is how many times do you hear people say, oh, hey, so we, in the HealthPointe program, whether you're in the 6-week cycle or even in the lifetime maintenance, it's a pretty common practice, a recommended practice to do one protein day a week, right? We hear this on the Network 21 audio. Some of the people from Australia, they talk about Monday being their protein day, and we do that as well. And the idea is that if you've got some buildup of some glycogen, some short-term glucose reserves, it's just kind of that once a week habit of clearing that out by doing a pure protein. You're reducing your net carbohydrate down to certainly sub 50, probably sub 20 grams in a day, which means your body is going to your stores of glycogen to burn those up. And we do that for that reason. But here's my point. How many times do you hear somebody say, oh man, I'm so happy it's protein day because it's so simple. It's so, I don't have to think about it today. They just have their source of protein. They're having their protein for breakfast. They're having their protein, small piece of protein for a snack. They're having protein for lunch. They're having a small protein snack, and they're having a protein for dinner. And maybe they'll have a small protein snack after that. But they love the simplicity of that. And I hear that time and time again where it's like, hey, happy Monday. It's protein day. I love it. I don't have to think about what I have to prepare today. I'm off to work and it's a protein day. Well, that's true. And we hear that time and time again. But also what's true is that should be pretty much the same feeling or mindset for Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday as well, because you want food to be almost boring or at least simple and decouple pleasure, from food. And so that's what I wanted to cover. I don't know how that lands with everybody, but I thought that was an important point that I would bring up. Any thoughts, questions, comments?
So decoupling from pleasure, I totally got your message. For me, it's I know when I follow the HealthPointe program, I'm going to have more energy. And so I'm in the end of the fourth week of a cycle. And maybe 2 weeks ago, I met some of my high school buddies. I have not seen them in 18 months at a bar in Detroit. And I had a hamburger and a beer for lunch. I had 3 appointments after that. It was like my feet were in mud. My feet were in mud as I was trying to push myself through the rest of that day. And so again, I just always am reminded that when I stay clean, I stay high energy and pretty mentally clear. And when I fade away, it bites me in the butt.
That is so true, David. What a great example, story, illustration of that point. So you derive the pleasure that you almost get that addiction to the energy that is when you're doing HealthPointe on a pure basis. And those random times where you have the burger and the beer or whatever, you're like, your feet are in mud. I love that. Couldn't have been said better.
I'd like to comment if I can.
Go ahead.
So I actually like to taste good food. And on this program, I now feel like, honestly, after 3 protein days, lettuce tastes sweet. And I'm like, oh my goodness, I love lettuce. I'm like a crazy girl. I love lettuce. Oh, carrots are good, or peppers are good. And since I've been on this plan, food tastes even better. The natural stuff tastes better. So there's that.
I agree with you, Eileen. I think that when you start to eat clean, I like to use the word clean rather than boring. Boring has a negative, I know what Eric was meaning. Boring has a negative connotation, but if you're eating clean, that's a very positive connotation. And when you think of food as being a clean fuel that you would just put in your tank, just like a gas, you put in your gas tank, you want the cleanest and most optimal for what the results that David was saying, had more energy. It's the same way when you're eating clean, you're putting clean food in your tank. And then your system really loves that. You start to fall in love with beautiful, clean food. And again, it's a mindset. And Eileen, you changed your mindset, and all of a sudden, junk food is disgusting. I don't know many of you if you've been on for a long time, but you think of junk food, and even my chocolate chip cookies that I used to love for years, I just don't. I don't desire them anymore. I would not desire them because they're just heavy. They're salty, they're sweet, they're greasy. And so now you start assimilating or associating it with those types of things, and you start associating something that's clean and healthy with energy and optimal fuel. And the other thing I want to mention is about your fats, because I know that's a kind of a flexible thing in this program, and you have to kind of see what your body can maintain with or lose weight with on your fats. There's nothing really hard and concrete in the program. I do say stay away from any foods that are not on your list, even if you think they're healthy while you're on the program. You can go to them later in lifetime maintenance, and some of them are extremely healthy for you, but just don't tinker around with them while you're on the program. But even if you are selecting some fat, I would say your fat being olive oil, your fat being a grass-fed, like that Kerrygold grass-fed butter or ghee, GHEE, those kinds of fats. Those are fats with a purpose. Always think of it in terms of that, not a fat that, okay, I can have so much fat and then pick something that is goopy or, not good. Think of it in terms of your definite, really purposeful oils that are going to benefit your body. So that's what I wanted to share.
Yeah, that's a great point. And I can tell you, again, because I'm in an integrative oncology program right now, which from a macronutrient is an eating profile that's recommended with clients or patients that are cancering, is absolutely very similar to the HealthPointe program. With in some cases, it can be beneficial for them to lose weight and get metabolically healthy and lose weight. Other times, if they're already at a lean weight, you don't want them to lose weight, but yet still follow that eating regimen. And the difference being is if you do, if you're in a weight loss, like in our case, in a 6-week cycle, and somebody's interested in losing weight, 2-3 pounds a week or whatever that pace, you're going to be activating you're going to be quote unquote eating fat. Your body's going to be eating fat, but it's not going to be avocado or olive. It's going to be your own fat, right? That's what you're triggering.
Right.
You're triggering that body to do that. So if you have hit your ultimate weight loss, that's where, if you don't want to keep losing, or if we, in the oncology space, if we want somebody to be fueling their cells and maintaining an optimal metabolic health, but not lose weight, that's where it's just a macronutrient equation. They need to increase their fats. In fact, in this program, they may be in a therapeutic ketosis state, which is very high fat, relatively speaking, to like what we do in HealthPointe. Those sources of fat are, Carol, like you say, the good, clean, grass-fed ghees, the avocados, the olive oils, the egg yolks, etc. And you get enough of that macronutrient in, that fat, first of all, on the movement of your blood sugar. Again, we want to maintain stability, a healthy stability, sub 100, sub 90, maybe sub 80 millimoles of blood sugar. Carbohydrates, especially simple carbohydrates, move blood sugar very erratically. Complex carbohydrates, less so. That would be your fibrous carbohydrates, your vegetables, your broccolis, etc. Certain, lower sugar fruits like blackberries and so forth. Then next in the equation would be your proteins. Proteins move the blood sugar very, very little, but less than carbohydrates for sure. But then fats almost don't move the needle at all. You have almost no hyperglycemic result when you eat healthy fats, the ghee, the olive oil, the avocado. So if somebody is at their healthy weight, doesn't want to lose any more weight, they want to maintain good metabolic health, they are going to be introducing more and more of these healthy fats. If they want to be losing weights, then, and that's more consistent with HealthPointe, where we say, eat less of those fats because we want your body will be using fat for fuel. It just won't be avocados or olive oil. It's going to be, from your thighs or your belly. That's where it's going to be getting its fat from. So for sure, absolutely consistent with that.
There was an audio, and I don't remember which one it was, but actually, I think it might have been a Ben Physic, where it shows a picture. It was a video, actually. It showed a picture of your tank and how when you get rid of your carbs, in your eating, then you start to work them out of your system. But you got to work them out of your system. That's why the lower carb, such as your pastas and bad carbs, so to speak, and then to get to your fat tank. And sometimes when we say, oh, well, fats are healthy for you, and I totally agree with you, Eric. You're talking a person that's doing a therapeutic program, same eating program, just a different emphasis on what their need is. And but if you're constantly adding even the good fats in at a high amount, all you're doing then is you're just continuing to burn those good fats that you put in, and you're not getting to the fat that you want to get rid of. So
right.
I totally agree with you on that.
Yeah, for sure. Well, we are coming up to that. Believe it or not, we talk about burning through things, burning through fat. We've just burned through 60 minutes or an hour walk and talk here on Saturday morning. If there's anything that anybody else wants to comment or jump in. Otherwise,
I just want to say these tips are so helpful. They just remind me there are ways to make this easy on myself. I love this today. So thank you all.
I recognize that voice, but tell us who you are, and for those that don't recognize your voice, Julie.
This was really good. I'm glad I did not miss this.
Yeah.
I need to go to my refrigerator and check out the little containers I have and do what Eileen does.
Absolutely. So Julie is successfully done the HealthPointe program and has successfully, in fact, this is kind of new and noteworthy. So for those that might remember when Julie popped on before, one of her major health goals was to reverse her prediabetes status, right? That's what kind of triggered her to reach out to me about HealthPointe. She successfully did that. You lost, is it 30, 40 pounds? How much?
Close to 40. I want to say close 40, but not quite.
Yeah, close to 40. She's similar. Her and Bruce are similar to Julie, and her husband Bruce are similar to Eileen and her husband Bruce, that they travel a lot, whether it's quick trips from Michigan down to Indiana or Illinois or the Carolinas. So you've done the Eileen thing, and you also did a mid journey test of stability. You kind of opted to be not creative, but actually I thought it was a brilliant strategy. You wanted to see if you could do a lifetime maintenance mode for a while and then kick it back in once you kind of got confident that once you lost the weight, you could stabilize it. You did that. You lost some more weight. You reversed your A1C. And here's my point, you recently went in to get your annual exam and your A1C was still stable and out of the pre-diabetic range. Is that correct?
That's correct. And my doctor was so pleased. I wasn't just trying to do it to get it down and then go back to the old ways. It stayed, and I'm not done yet, and I think I told you, Eric, I'm going to jump in here to another 6-week cycle. I'm not done with weight loss, but it was very helpful for me because every time I've tried a program and lost weight, I gain it all right back. And I mean, when I gain it back, it's fast. So this has been great. I am holding steady, ready to jump back in and get to the next whatever level it is. So I appreciate it. And this morning was just perfect for me. I'm ready to go on with today and keep that stability going.
I love it. I love it. Yes. So
Yeah.
I
That's
agree.
wonderful.
Julie.
Yeah. Well, for all the tips, tricks, and lessons, and community, and fun, and laughter, thanks again, guys. It was a wonderful mid or towards the end of July walk and talk here. I don't know what episode we are. I think episode 54. Broadcasting here from Ellie's 5K race. Somewhere in that crowd of hundreds or thousands of people is my wife, which I think is she's finished up the race. I'll go find her. And until next time, guys, same time, same place, next Saturday on Zoom. We'll say bye. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thanks
Bye
again.
bye.
Bye, everybody.